Hi, I'm Blake Alley from Quizlet, also known as baaelectronics on YouTube. And with the new year comes a new school semester and more study sets. So I'm going to go over some of the tips and tricks that I use personally for creating Quizlet sets, and also how to improve your creating and studying process on Quizlet as well. Now, there is a reason why this video is ultra-wide, and this is why. This is being recorded on an ultra-wide monitor, so I definitely recommend, if you're watching on a phone, don't watch it on a phone. Go put this video on a computer or something. So the first thing is kind of obvious, is taking material from another source and copying it into Quizlet. So I'm going to start pretty simple with a Spanish assignment. So I'm going to come up to Class Zone, and yes, it's Adobe Flash Player. That's great. And one of the first things that I'll do if I find source material like this is to print it out. Now, printing most websites will just print a list of all the elements in the website. In this case, you'll have to print from Adobe Flash, which is not that hard. So once you printed, you have all your material here. You're going to open the PDF in Preview. So now that you have a PDF of everything, you can more easily reference all the materials. And also, here's a cool trick for people who are on a Mac. There is a way to do this on Chrome. The way you do it in Chrome is drag each window to the corner of the desktop, but it doesn't work in Mac, obviously. So what you're going to do instead is drag that window all the way to the top and beyond. And now just drag it somewhere here. And then you grab your source material and you drag it to the side of there. Look what happens. Oh, we've got a split screen now. So if you're copying materials from another source, which is allowed, now use your resources. You can also do this with a textbook or something. So if you're using a textbook, open in a new tab, bring that tab out, and then just make that tab the side of another tab where your Quizlet is. And creating this Spanish set reminded me of another actually new change that Quizlet made just quite recently. When you are creating a set and you are adding content that will have two different terms for the same definition, here's something to try. So for Spanish, there is a Spanish verb that has both an O and an A ending. So I would type this into Quizlet as first the masculine ending, and then a space / the feminine ending. Now if someone is studying this in Learn mode, they can come down to Options and show the grading options. So if a term is separated by a slash, checking that box will allow you to type in only one of the separated terms, which is quite helpful for Spanish and also other things that may require two terms for the same definition. So that's something to keep in mind when creating sets like that. So I'm actually going to delete this because I don't need it. And I'm going to go over something that I probably should have gone over a while ago, which is creating sets from a non-term definition source, such as a Kahoot set. So this is a set from last year that, again, I'm going to bring out to a different tab, bring it up into the top, and drag Quizlet right next to it. Yes, this is Quizlet, it's a different tab. And as you can see, these are sort of a term definition thing, but not really. What I would do for a set like this is find the thing that you want your learner to know. So for the first question, it would obviously be World Class Navy, because that's the thing we want the learner to know. Now, for question 6, I would do something different. You want your learner to know that something was offensive to the South because it virtually prohibited slavery. So that would actually be your definition. So what we want the learner to know is that the thing that prohibited slavery was the Talmadge Agreement. I actually don't know if that's misspelled or not. We'll leave it as is. So that's one thing you should keep in mind when creating sets from a non-term definition source, such as a Kahoot or even just a book. You can take stuff from a book, find the thing that you want your learner to know by seeing the definition, and then use that, instead of just making them question and answer. Question and answer cannot be done backwards. Term definition can. You can know both your term and definition by seeing the opposite one, which is why I do it this way. And while I'm at it, keep in mind that phrases are not sentences. The first letter does not need to be capitalized. It is a phrase, it is not a sentence. So that's what I'd recommend, is not capitalizing the first letter of your term and definition. Unless, of course, it's a proper noun, then capitalize it. But for stuff that's just a phrase, it's not a sentence, don't capitalize it. Okay, so another thing I should talk about is community contributions. So this is just within Quizlet. This isn't anything that requires an outside source, though it can, and I will show you how I do that. So I'm going to go back to a very long set that took me probably 5 or 6 days to complete. Now, for most people, this edit button wouldn't be here, but in the case of large sets where you're compiling very, very large amounts of data like this, it might be helpful to consider allowing other classes to edit it. So say the class of 2021 can edit it. Now that's very helpful for a very large set because more people can work on it. Now, I don't necessarily trust a lot of people to edit sets the proper way, so I don't have a lot of sets that do this, but for very large things like finals, it's definitely helpful to have. And also, some people may have seen these bit.ly links. So a way to add links to your Quizlet sets, such as another source that you'd like someone to reference, like a Google Doc. I'd recommend this site called bit.ly.com, which is a link shortener. So how you would use bit.ly.com is you'd find the thing you want to reference. Say I wanted to reference this Spanish thing. Go ahead and copy the really long URL, but don't paste it into a Quizlet set. That's too long for people to remember. It's just not necessarily a good idea. So what I'd do first, put it into Bitly, it's free by the way, completely free, and make it something memorable, 4-1 Spanish. That way, instead of making your users type in or copy a very long link, you're only copying a very short link and also very memorable. So if people are studying on their phones, they can easily type this into a computer and get to the same link. So that's a very helpful tip for if you're wanting to add other sources. I definitely do encourage adding more sources to your Quizlet sets to, say, add other material that is not necessarily term and definition, such as a matching set or a certain other thing that's on a final review. That's definitely very helpful to have. So I definitely recommend Bitly for that. And the last thing, kind of a shameless plug, not for myself, is Quizlet Premium. As you can see there, I have this dark theme on my Quizlet, which is one of the pros of Quizlet Premium. Sometimes this is a little bright at night, and Quizlet Premium's only $20 a year. You also get unlimited diagrams, ad-free. As you can see, I have it ultra-wide, and there's no ads showing on the sides, which is pretty cool. And a few other things, and that dark mode that I mentioned previously. So it's definitely an investment. I've seen some other users have it too, but I can't find any of them right now. So if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching. I also wanted to mention that feel free to contact me in any way possible if you see something wrong with this set. I really dislike when I come to the test and someone says to me the day of the test, oh, something's wrong on that set. Could have told me that earlier and I would have been able to fix it. I definitely encourage people to tell me what's wrong. I do use Google Forms, so forms.google.com is helpful thing. You can even add this to your sets as I have the content change. I've added all the subjects, so it's kind of helpful just to be able to glance through an Excel spreadsheet, see what exactly you need to fix. So Google Forms definitely quite helpful for that. I've also created a Google Sites, so sites.google.com. I've actually made a site for finals a while ago. New sites, by the way. New Google Sites. Don't use the old one, use the new one. 2018 9th finals. And this is a site I made a while ago. So it has all the links. These are not Bitly links. These are Quizlet links because they're clickable. They're hyperlinks. So there's a lot of different ways you can increase audience interactivity. I'm going to go back to night mode, and I believe that's the end of the video. Yeah, if I forgot anything, and if you have any more suggestions for Quizlet stuff or studying stuff, collaborate on Google Docs possibly beforehand. By the way, you can import Google Docs and text into Quizlet and it'll make a set for you. I can show that later. It's pretty simple. So if you're looking for something else to watch, you didn't just come here to learn something, check out the Logos Prep Shenanigans playlist on my channel because it's pretty funny. Highly encourage it. All right, that's it.